way towards the delicate things. So next I'm going to move on to my double tulips. If you have broken petals like this, you could try to bend them and break them off. Be very gentle, so you're not going to bend the actual stem and break it, or you can cut them. So because I only have 2, I'm going to put them together rather than having them polka dotted throughout the arrangement. I want them to actually be visible and not lost. So by grouping them, we actually will notice them. Had I put one here and one over here, you wouldn't really notice it. It might get lost in the rest of the arrangement. So the next thing we're going to move on to is the ranunculus. So the ranunculus are kind of fun because they're very playful. They have these little buds. These are fun that if you have an area where you want to have some interest in something kind of going up and arcing, you might have a ranunculus that has a really cute little bend to it. For example, this one, these little buds have a nice little bend. So I'm going to hold it on the outside here and see how long I might need it. I'm going to use those little buds to my advantage and add some interest and movement in here. Again, I'm going to try to group them because I have 3. So I'm going to do 2 and 1 rather than 3 throughout and individually placed. Going up and down, nothing at the exact same height. So you can see I put those 2 ranunculus together, but I didn't put them at the same height. If I put them at the same height, we'd lose them in the arrangement. All right. So as I'm arranging, and this is what I do when I make mistakes. My snapdragons have started to fall off to the side. I'd really like this snapdragon to be a little more vertical. Because we're not using chicken wire, because we're not using foam, it's a lot easier to pull these out and move them. I wanted it to just be a little bit more vertical and have the angle moving a little. So the next thing we're going to do is find a place for these hyacinth. So the hyacinth are short. And if you look throughout your arrangement, you're going to find an area that's like kind of obvious, like a nest or like a dead zone. So I have one on this side, right here. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to group my 2 hyacinths together. There's a whole bunch of extra stuff at the bottom of a hyacinth. And I'll show you on my next one. All this gunk here. We don't really need it. You can just delicately peel and break that off. If you need to cut it, you can. All these leaves are great. They'll still last in your arrangement. So I'm going to do this from my end so I can see it, and then I'll turn it for you. But what I'm trying to do is create kind of a little visual show-stop area. So something that just is like a bang, which is where if peonies were in season, we might be using a peony or 2 to create kind of like a nice pop, something that draws your attention. It's a focal point. So I have my focal point with my hyacinth right here, and I tried to have them one a little higher than the other. This one I cut a little too short. Good lesson, and don't cut too short right off the bat. Then I have this beautiful umbrella fern. And what I want to do is I want to try to have this not right underneath it, but a little bit off to the side, and this will draw attention. The shape of this umbrella fern will draw attention to this area. Well, the fun thing about umbrella fern is that you can manipulate it and move it throughout your arrangement. So if I don't want all those little fern leaves down there, I can have them come up into my arrangement like this. Now we have our daffodils. Again, they're kind of close, they'll open up. So I don't want to have this pretty side over here and then nothing on this side. So I'm gonna do, when these daffodils open, they're gonna be really lovely. I'm gonna do all my daffodils on one side, all together, so that when they open, we have another focal point on this side. So what I did there with that tulip leaf is I reflexed it. They have this natural bend in them. You can kind of slowly open them up and they'll curl. Called reflexing. I'm just going to try to get these daffodils in here. It's getting pretty tight in this space. It's a lot of product to get in here. So please keep that in mind if you do decide you want to use some blooming branches from your garden. It's going to get pretty tight pretty quick. Okay, so we got those. You can use these hyacinth leaves if you'd like. There's quite a bit of foliage in here already, so we don't necessarily need them, but it's nice to save things just in case. Now I have my feverfew. The reason we left this for last is because the stems are incredibly delicate, but they're also the smallest, so they'll be the easiest to stick in at the last moment. Had we put these in first, they're kind of a tangle at the top. If we tried to do any sort of arranging through the center of these feverfew, we'd get caught in them and rip them and break them, and we don't want to do that. They're very delicate and dainty. As you can see, this one broke right here. Just from the way I pulled them apart, it broke. So I'm not going to waste it. It's not going to be pretty in my arrangement, but it would be really pretty in a little bud vase somewhere, or for my daughter to play with later and make me a crown or something, or a boutonniere, or something for Mother's Day that I can wear. So I'm just going to start trimming these down and look for areas that might need a little extra. So for example, I have this hole right here. I have this kind of like really big hole. I don't want something like this just hanging out way up high, but if I take a couple pieces of this feverfew and I keep them fairly short, I'll show you. I get them cut pretty short, all at roughly the same height. I can create kind of like a mass or like a grouping of the feverfew that will draw our eye into the center and make it look like I made that hole on purpose, not by accident. So I'm trying to cut my short pieces. Oh, there's another one that broke. I'm taking all my short little pieces and I'm again checking to see if it's the right height for where I'm going to put it. Break off all the leaves, or cut off the leaves that are going to go below the water line. Now I'm very gently going to try to figure out how to get all these in here. I might have to do them individually. It looks like I will. So again, it's kind of a tangle now. You're going to have to be really careful shoving these in that you don't break anything, or make sure you get it all the way down into the water. So one of the things that makes an arrangement look fancier than others is having the in and out, where your eye gets drawn into the center of your arrangement and out again, having a lot of movement in your arrangement. You don't want to make an arrangement where somebody can just walk right by it and tell you exactly what they see. You want them to walk by it and feel like they need to see every side of it, or look in and out and looking around, which by doing this little pocket of dense feverfew right in the center, that dead zone that I had before now becomes an actual point of interest. And it looks like I did it on purpose. So now I'm going to turn my arrangement. At this point, what I'm doing is I'm looking for areas that really need just a little extra, which is what this feverfew is doing. It's giving me just a little extra. And I see a space right down in here, right down on this side. There's not a lot there. And that's because the daffodils haven't opened yet. But I can use all the rest of my feverfew, keep it short. I don't want it sticking way up here. Ripping off all my leaves. So it's going to get kind of tricky getting things in here, so be very careful. I know, doggy, it's okay. I want to show you as well the kind of fun thing about reflexing a tulip leaf as it curls like this. You can actually reflex the tulips themselves when they open a little bit more, and what that means is you very gently will pull the petals and try to bend them back on themselves. These tulips aren't quite open for me to show you how, but you can definitely find a YouTube video of how to reflex a tulip. But it gets them to open up and be really wide and big. They will naturally do it on their own over time if they stay hydrated, but you can force them. All right, my area's gotten a little bit messy. I'm unable to tell whether or not I have any more stems left. I don't think I do. But what I do have is I have these 3 things too that I had set aside just in case I found a spot that needed them, and I did. So because they've been sitting for a long time, I'm going to give them a fresh cut. Making sure to get all the way down to the water line. And with that, that is our pepper arrangement from all sides. Looks a little different from every view. Don't want there to be a pretty angle or a bad angle. I want there to be something pretty that you're looking at from every angle. So there you have it. If you have any questions, you can feel free to comment on this video. I'll try my best to get back to your comments as soon as I can. But given that everybody's going to be doing their arrangement at different times throughout the day, I can't guarantee I'll get to you within 10 minutes, but I'll try my best. Congratulations on making your floral arrangement, and happy Mother's Day.